Chaos Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Guard! I said another one. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I said another one. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a mother smack at it. Bye-up, bye-up, bye. Oh, that's the remix. I'm getting into it today. Now, trip out. As you can tell by that thumbnail right there, we're going to be talking about Ogden Trece. Oh, yes, I done did some time with these vatos, man. Just a couple of them out of state. Righteous dudes, right? But different. They move differently. You hear the word Trece and you automatically assume Southsiders, Rangers. That's what they get down with. That's what they affiliate with. So I'll just get forever forward, right, with that. But let me tell you something. They're different. See, they're a local gang from Ogden, Utah. Orale, I said it. It's not only Mormons and Tongans out there. Trip out. There's a lot of Norteños, Sureños, and absolutely Ogden Treces out there in the Utah area. Now, the city of Ogden is a small city, man. It's probably about the town, probably about as big as Merced, located in the Central Valley. You know how we do it? You know, you knew that. Pensa, the wind's blowing. Now, trip out. When it comes to Ogden Trece, I had never heard about him. Never knew about him until I actually did time with a couple vatos. And I tripped out because one of them had this big O on his head with an X3 in it. I automatically assumed in the oil, when I chopped it up with them, that he was a Southsider. I mean, the vato got an X3 on him. What was I supposed to? And he broke me down and gave me the whole rundown on his barrio, what it entails, the intricate details into the neighborhood, and what they were all about. Now, I'm going to mix that story with the story that I heard and something that the administration has been doing to these guys. And it's a damn shame how the get down is, right? But in the menudo style in direct fashion, here it goes. So I'm doing time out of state and I'm sitting in the oil. I got into a fight with an Africano brother, right? Don't act like I'm racist. I'm not a racist, right? Hey, Sprinkle the Woods, brother. They are, not me, right? But one thing is for sure that I got into with an Africano brother over the phone. And typically that's what happens. This vato would come take off running out of his cell. We had these phones. You could use these phones the whole time you were on the yard. But these vatos were located, their cell was right next to the phone. So every time these two Africano brothers would take off and run to the phone. Now, every Friday, I used to call my jefita. I was mama's boy, right? I needed to call to get an update on what was going on with my familia, to see what was cracking, what was happening. Hey, who was posted on the block, if people were looking stupid. I needed to know if there was a new tortillano that was busting down on the block with my brother. I just needed to know. So I used to call every Friday. And everybody knew to get down. You know, everybody, after doing so much time in prison, you start learning, if you're aware, if your antennas are going, everybody's programa, everyone's programmed. You know when the Woods are going to work out, when the Africano brothers are going to play some basketball, when the Rangers are going to play some handball, when the Norteños are going to stay in the corner and plat on people. That's just how it was, right? So every Friday, it should have been known that I use it about noonish, you know, right after morning yard. But these vatos used to take off running, and they started doing this consistently. I guess one of them had knocked a fat white girl, and he was living his best life. Only Tyrone, right? So I remember walking up to him. I was like, hey, bro, after you're done with the phone, can I get that one time? He said, I ain't going to be done with it. I said, okay, well, I'm going to be done with you here in a minute, right? First day, I let it pass. Second day, I didn't, right? So I ended up getting off. And we fought, and he beat me up. Facts, right? He was a big old brother, right? What could I do? But at least I got off, though, one time from my mind. Let's just say neither one of us used the phone because we were placed in the oil, to which they gave us a 6-month program in the hole. I was stretched out, right? I was going to talk to my moms till next Christmas. Anyway, so I'm sitting down in the hole, and they started to bring new guys in. And one of these guys, I noticed he was all tatted down. He had a big old tattoo on his head. And so I was like, damn, who's this? Is he a homie? Is he a homie from the other side? Because we're all called homies. You know, we're like the little homie. What's happening with it? So I got at him, hey, Sal 11. Hey, where you from, bro? Get at me on paper. He was like, from Ogden, Trece. I said, what water was that? Man, to what degree of water was that? I never heard of that one. He said, I'm from Utah. So he goes, I'm going to get at you on paper. So he started getting at me. He goes, what are you, a homie? I said, hey, I'm a Norteño. What's up with it? He said, hey, did you trip out? I rock with you guys. Ooh, I just pulled up, got off in R&R with the Southsider. And I said, wait, hold on now. Depends on the theater. Are you guys like in the hat? Or to what degree of verde do you have? I mean, because I need to know these things. He said, no, that's how we roll. That's how we rock. He said, there's a hood called 24th Street over there in Ogden that we're cool with. We associate with while incarcerated. Because we have a common enemy. You know, it's that old story, an enemy of an enemy as a friend of mine, or however it goes. Anyways, common enemies, right? So that means they were taitas. However they do it, right? Guard! You know how they do it. So anyways, all right, we start chopping him. He's a good dude. So he starts running me down about his neighborhood. I'm running him down about mine. And he tells me that Ogden Trece started in 1974, and there used to be a gang called the Ogden Knights. Okay? The Ogden Knights, it's just like, it's a trip, like all these gangs from other states, you know, like you have the Latin Kings, or you have the Ogden Knights, or you have the the patriots, or the vatos that are the bishops. And it's like a chessboard, it seems like, right? But without being disrespectful, and I'm not trying to be, I just didn't understand or grasp the concept of the different meanings behind their thing. But he said about a year after becoming the Ogden Knights, they graduated or gradually started calling themselves the Central City Lopes. 2 C's with an L, right? Again, they had one more name switch, and they started to claim Ogden Trece. Now, they claimed Trece because that's what they seen around them. There was a lot of sureños, so they basically rocked with the Trece, but were not considered Southsiders. They consider themselves kings of all sides, north, south, east, and west. They rock on any side they want to. They control Ogden. That's just what it is. And that's how they progress. Now, over time, there was a lot of sureños that started to influx in there, meaning that they started to gradually move in. You know, Waters like 18 and the Avs and vatos from, you know, different gangas started to move in and establish. You know, when don't the Southsiders establish? They're everywhere. They're at the end of the world. There's only going to be Southsiders, you know, cucarachas and palatero men. You know what I mean? For ice cream for the Southsiders, because it's going to be hot in hell. That's it. Anyway, the vatos are doing their thing, and they start to have war, guerra, back and forth. Now, anyone that knows anything about Utah, I know a little something about Utah just based on I got an ex-wifey up out of Utah, right? So she always ran me down the whole intricate details of the stories of what was going on there. Now, she ran with the norteños that were there out of Salt Lake City, and they were deep. You know, I've done a story about Goofy, who had moved from Gilas and was out there wiggling. And there were several others. Utah is there's a big establishment of norteños as well as Southside. It's just the way it is, right? They pick up where California leaves off. Now, Ogden Trece, located far away from Salt Lake City, they do their own thing. Like I said, they're smaller town business. There's not very many of them, maybe 500 total, which to my water is deep, right? But to other hoods and other gangs, they're not as deep as you would think. Okay, the cool part of the story and the cool twist is this. So they've been going at it with the sureños for a long time. That was guerra that's been happening for years and will continue to happen. You see the vatos over there? We're going at it with them. We're going to continue to go at it with them, right? So they're doing their thing. Well, they start to get incarcerated. And just like any other gang, when you get incarcerated, most people gradually gravitate towards who's the bigger group. If it's raza, you're going to go with your people. If you're wood and you sprinkled in, brother, you're going to go with the woods that are sprinkled in. If you're an Africano, brother, thinking you're good at basketball, then you already know what it is. You're cripping and blooding and norte thugging, and that's just what they do. Everyone has their different behind racial lines and political boundaries that they go to. Period. Doesn't matter what state you're from. That's how most states rock. You rock with your people. Period. But these guys kind of hold it on. They remind me of the Tangos or the Fresno Bulldogs, meaning they're their own entity. They're their own thing. They don't care if you're brown, black, green, or yellow. If you're from Ogden Trece, then you're with them. If you're not, see you later. If you're a common ally and you have common enemies, yes, they will roll hand in hand to handle pegadas and do things together. But at the end of the day, that's just how they rock. Now, for the most part, the administration would keep these guys segregated away from the Southsiders. And the reason being where the Southsiders were a little bit deeper, the prominent and dominant group, just like anywhere else. And they posed a big threat to the Ogden Trece. Now, the Ogden Trece didn't lay it down for anyone. Okay, the sureños hated him and disrespected him and were mad because they believed that Ogden Trece claimed the Trece without really being about the meaning behind it. Ogden Trece, why they picked up the 13, just like MS did back in the days, I have no reason. I don't know why. I know that MS picked it up back in the days because they were actually stoners, and that's what they considered themselves. I know that Ogden Trece did it for whatever reasons, that beat me to boop. I don't know, okay? But they did rock that way, and they still continue to as such. Now, the sureños didn't like that. Of course, if someone's claiming your number, if someone's claiming something, a derivative, and they're basically, it's a derogatory statement against you. They're saying this is ours. That's it. And no, it is not, right? So people are going to go back and forth. They're going to go behind their true beliefs and how they feel. Facts. Now, these vatos were segregated away, kind of like the Bulldogs are segregated away. Not anymore, but they were segregated away from norteños and Southsiders. And so they started to accumulate numbers, being incarcerated, and get deeper and deeper. Okay, so they posed a big threat to the South as well as the South posing a threat to them. But not only was it the South, they actually went at it pretty heads up till they were fed up. Now that's hard, with another group that were Tongan Crips. Now these Crips right here actually had a lot of Mexicanos and Native Americans, a lot of different ethnicities within this gang. They were a deep group that weren't to be played with. They were known to be hitters, and that's it. Well, one of the Ogden Trece, the guy that you see on the thumbnail, his last name was Virgil. He actually got placed on a unit with these guys. Now, administration was tired of segregating people. They were tired of keeping people apart, because just like the California Department of Correction feels, at the end of the day, the only way to make these guys work it out is to put them together and see what happens. Now, you already know what's going to happen. Menudo style, right? And in that fashion, be da bow. See the enemy in the town, and you know you got to put them down, right? Vivo de tres animales, and all that good stuff. You already know what's going to happen. The three animals are going to come out. The perico, the gallo, mi chiva, right? Someone's going to get tore up. And that's exactly what happened. They decided, the administration, to start placing Ogden Treces with the Southsiders and other groups. Well, they actually placed this youngster who was 24 years old with some of the Crips, and not even 10 minutes after being placed in this unit. And according to the word on the curb, he actually told the cops, the administration, hey, if you place me together with this group, you know, bad things are going to happen. You know, not saying bad things are going to happen to me or them, but just bad things are going to happen. They said, well, then let it happen. He said, okay, well, then let it happen. Right? Anyways, they put him in this pod. And, you know, without being disrespectful to his gente, his familia, rest in peace to this individual, he was done dirt bad, man. He was done pretty bad. Now, this continued to happen for a lot of months and a lot of years, where it was called gladiator days. These guys were being placed together, and they were getting off. They were getting off. They were, taking L's, taking W's, and the other guys were as well. It was a very unfortunate event that continued to happen. Now, just recently, I've heard, and this is just me hearing the word on the curb, they are now back having their own pods and doing their own thing. Now, at the end of the day, there's no winner chicken dinner. There's never no winners when it comes to gang violence. What's going to happen is, don't fight it. JD said, don't fight it, right? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I want his name off the list. His name's, I'm going to write it on there 10 times. That's it. You know what I mean? Say that 3 times fast. And that's just what's going to happen. You got to follow the yellow brick road into the pod that they put you in. And whatever happens, happens. I suggest, merely without saying allegedly, get off first. Get off where you're mad at. Even if you ain't mad, get yourself mad at it. Because by the time you get in there and they spot you and they know who you are, they're going to get off. Now, this Ogden Trece, this O that this guy had on his head, I asked him, hey, why do you guys get that on your head? I noticed, when I first met him, he was the only one I had met. He ended up having a homeboy that hit the linea as well. He didn't have it on his head. But I asked him, I said, hey, why you guys get that on your head? Is there a reasoning behind that? Because this was like, he had tattoos from here to there, nothing on his face, but this big O, it was blasted on his whole head. It stood out, kind of like the guy in the background here. It just stood out. He said, yeah, that's earned. Every tattoo that we get from our Barrio, our neighborhood, is an earned tattoo. That is called the O crown. That is earned. That means you were here. That means you did some type of dirt. To what degree? I don't know if it's still in payday candy bars or Snickers bars or really doing that thing. But at the end of the day, it could be, he said, guess what? I put in my work. What'd you do? I got the buzz down, tortillana buzz down. I got down with like 4 tortillanas, combined weight of 1,020 pounds. So I'm in it to win it, right? Yes, you are, sir. Bam, here, I got it. I don't know how exactly these guys earn these tattoos, but one thing I do know is for sure is they have to do some dirt to get it. Okay, and it's called the O's crown. Again, that reverts back to being the Ogden Knights. That reverts back to the chessboard. Now, I said one thing, and I'm going to say 2 things. The second thing I'm going to say is, it's very unfortunate that these individuals, being a homegrown gang, have to be enemies of one of the bigger groups that there are, being the Southsiders. It seems like the Southsiders ain't playing. When they move in on the territory, when they establish, they're going to go ahead and need that. Separate mine from yours. Break bread like Jesus said. I don't even know a guy named Jesus. Well, break bread like Jesus said. I know who that guy is. Well, say Mato. Trip out. They ain't playing. Okay, they're going to need their issue right off the tippy top. But these homegrown gangs, and there's not very many of them. I guess there are in different states. I just haven't been everywhere yet. Menudo. A lot of these groups and a lot of these gangs are going to hold it down for their city because they're true believers in this is all we have, is it? The Rocky Mountains and a couple tortas. And that's it. You want us to have LA. What are you tripping on us for? Well, they're tripping. They're quick to slip in the clip and get to spitting because that's what they does. Because, at the end of the day, if the Southside's moving to your hood, you might well just pack your bags just because they're going to go ahead and need that. They're going to start establishing. Now, they did that, and of course, they've been warring for a long time. Now, I seen a documentary a while back, and it was even sent to me by a young partner of mine the other day that's up at Ogden, who is an actual Ogden Trece member. And he said, trip out on this, big homie. I said, let me see, the wind's blowing. I have time. Today I got time, cuz, right? So I said it with my chest like Wes, and I sat down one time for my mind, and I threw it up in my ex-bizox, and I tripped. What I tripped on was this, okay? These individuals right here ain't no suckers. They program just like everyone else. Their programming, their system of communication is pretty elaborate. If you haven't watched, it's on the History Channel, I think it is, documentary on the Utah gangs. Tap in one time for your mind. It's going to trip you out. And I tripped out on the similarities to California prison gangs and California gangs, period. And I actually looked at similarities to gangs like Tango Blast up out of Texas, where they're renegades, rebels, and they're doing their thing, but they're getting so deep because people are magnetic. It's a magnetic force. Get over here, like Scorpion, right? They want to go over there. They want to be part of something that's new, some of this fresh blood, some of this young blood. A lot of the old establishments, the old gangs, are losing their grip on certain soldados. Now, not in California. That's different. You know what I mean? They're not living against it to what degree. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is in the other states, these youngsters are on the prowl. They're making moves, power moves, wearing shower shoes, and doing their thing. Now, the documentary blew my mind, but at the same time, I remember reverting back to what the Vato was telling me and how we wiggled. And I remember telling my homeboys, you know, Vato right here with the big old O on his head, make sure we keep our eyes on him because he's an X3. I said, I don't know if he's trying to X me, you, or him out. See, 3 Vatos. There's only 3 of us. Watch it, right? Could be code for he don't like us. But he did rock with us. Now, I'm going to tell you what happened. So, the Africano brothers and the Norteños in this particular state, we were cool, but cool to a certain degree. They didn't like Southsiders, so they considered us like Southsiders. Little did they know we was like Southsiders. I mean, we're brown and proud. What that you got something money said is get down right now in the dirt. They said, what's the matter? You afraid you're going to get hurt? We were down like that, but at the end of the day, everybody knows there was differences and discrepancies in the differences. We weren't rocking like they were rocking, but the brothers right there didn't care about none of that. Essays is essays, but we NAs. I don't care about none of that. Essay, right? So we had to rock how we rock. So there was not a great relationship there. The ones from California that would come in that knew what time it was, I mean, they didn't get they paid no never mind to them as well. So I remember there was a few brothers on the tier. They were acting up meaning that they weren't trying. They had it established. They were deep. They were getting loud. They were talking shit about people. They were ready to get off where they were mad at, and they were trying to punk the pod. Right now, punking the pod ain't gonna never happen. Not when the gun's there, you know what I mean? You might punk him, but you can't punk me. I'd rather get off and go to the oil where I could do my own thing and read a little bit more books and eat sandwiches all day. It ain't gonna never happen. So I got the band together, and guess what? We're gonna play a tune. That's it. We're gonna play Hotel California. Remember? On a dark desert highway. You know what I mean? Cold wind in my hair. You ready? Hike! And of course, the Ogden Trece dude was the first one. He ain't even from Califas. Orle, Utah. He got a hang. Again, the brothers were deeper. One of them put me in the sleeper. But I did handle my bit. I did get out there. I downed 2 of them. Let's keep it real. It's called spade to spade. You know what I mean? I downed 2 of them. One of them looked like Pinky from Friday. Say it with your tail, right? Say it. You know what I mean? Ooh! The other one, I grabbed him by his... He said, Dad, I should have never had cornrows. This brother grabbed me. So I smacked him, and then, of course, one big old dude put me in the chokehold, and I remember waking up in the infirmary like, no, right, no, Leroy, right? No, what did he do to me? He didn't do nothing to me but knock me out, thank God, right? Could have, didn't. And that's the way that story went. But the moral to the story is the Vato from Ogden Trece did get off with us. He showed us canalismo and love. Didn't have to, really. I guess he did. All the brown guys jumped in. But he jumped in and handled it. And I'll forever be indebted to him. And I remember thinking about this guy. Now, my little homie brought it up to me the other day. Why don't you ever do anything on Utah, Ogden Trece? I said, I might as well just do it since the wind is blowing today. So that's why I'm here sitting amongst you, to let you know, man, that the Ogden Trece, look into them. They're a homegrown gang out of Utah that ain't to be fooled with, played with. It's unfortunate, man, the way that administration is doing it now, throwing them to the wolves. But ain't that happening here with the Barrio chatos? They're getting thrown to the wolves too. That's why you have to be accustomed and know what's going on. You know, not necessarily, if you're not a gang member, you're just a regular citizen, go pay your taxes. But everyone else, you need to stay aware if you're in that light, because you never know where they're going to put you. They're going to put you in predicaments, man, that are predominantly are going to do you dirty. It's just the way it is. I've been put like that so many times. It was an ugly situation. Guess what? I fought that. And I'm still here. With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. Guard! I don't care what you do, but I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the end of the day, get behind me, Tortillana. Wait up. Get in front of me. You know what it is. If you like this, hit that like and subscribe one time for your mentality. If not, get at me with that thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears this crown. I'm going to continue to strive and struggle for what I honestly and truly believe in, and that's the coming together of all people. I don't care if it's the Ogden Treces, the Bulldogs, the Norteños, the Southsiders, the Major Mothers that are over there on the corner with big old yoppers, or even the Woods, brother. Africano brothers, I've been rocking with you. So what you got to say now? This is the gun. Bang, bang, and in that fashion.